On today's special 4th of July episode, the Clippers have signed Derrick Jones Jr., one of our adversaries this postseason with the Dallas Mavericks, clamped Paul George, and now he is signed to the LA Clippers on a 3-year, $30 million deal. What do we know about Derrick Jones? How does it help the Clippers? And what holes does he fill? Gonna be talking about it all and more on today's Locked On Off-Season Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day. Your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA. And in the off season, between my 19th and 20th season as a Clipper fan, you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod. Make sure you subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA sports, LA Clipper, and NBA content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of the Derrick Jones Jr. signing? I expect, based on the way the comment section of the Locked On Clippers listeners sees basketball, I think we'll all be very excited about this. You should be excited about this. And before we talk about Derrick Jones Jr., this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the best place to get great deals, last-minute deals on tickets for any event. All you got to do is download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. So, this feels good. You know, we're still mourning 2-1-3. Not really. I'm not, at least. But it is at the end of an era, and it's a first for me in the content creating side of my Clipper fandom. That era of my Clipper fandom, the Dime Dropper Locked On era, is the first time I'm talking about a Clipper team that doesn't have Paul George on it. So adjusting to this new era of the Intuit Dome and Kawhi Leonard, and now Kawhi and James Harden are the only two stars that we have, we need to retool the roster, right? We have some money left over that we can use the taxpayer mid-level exception, and this is one of the ways we have used it. And it is by signing Derrick Jones Jr. immediately to a 3-year, $30 million deal. This was announced a couple of days ago, I want to say on Sunday. And, man, July 1st is when the official article came out from ESPN about Derrick Jones signing that 3-year deal. But man, I was pretty stoked when I saw this. And I'm not particularly sure at all the reasons why Dallas couldn't sign him. Obviously, Dallas went for a bigger fish in Klay Thompson, and then they got Najee Marshall from the New Orleans Pelicans to kind of supplement that defensive loss and per se. But let's talk about what Derrick Jones Jr. brings to the table. This is a guy who, you know, when he first came into the league, he was a relatively unknown commodity. He played for the Phoenix Suns to start his career. Didn't really play much that first year. Second year, he got moved to Miami. Didn't really play much the second year. But the one thing that people knew about Derrick Jones Jr., he could jump. He's got crazy bounce. And that's something that we know even more now. We obviously got to see him in some dunk contests. Pretty sure he won the 2020 dunk contest. Let me just double check that, because if my memory serves me correctly, he won the 2020 dunk contest. But why is that significant? Does a dunk contest matter for the Clippers? Well, because we talked about all season long. Yeah, it was Derrick Jones. We talked about it all season long. What do the Clippers lack? Size and athleticism. Now, while Derrick Jones is only 6'5", he looks about 6'7" because of his wingspan. The guy's got long arms. But the fact that he can jump out the gym, that gives us something that we haven't had in the 2-1-3 era. That gives us something that we haven't had, that we didn't have last year. He adds to our athleticism by a lot, because he's legitimately one of the most springy players in the league. Now James Harden has another lob threat for those baseline cuts. We have another outlet in transition that is somebody that can get out and run, is just an athlete in the open floor. I mean, when we talk about checking off the boxes that this Clipper team lacked last season and athleticism being one of the main ones, Derrick Jones Jr. completely, directly addresses that. So that's fantastic. Not to mention the obvious elephant in the room that hasn't been addressed. He literally locked up Paul George. And I admitted it when he was on the team. Derrick Jones Jr. is a very solid defender. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about, the specific avenues in which Derrick Jones helps us in the next segment. But just to continue talking about the journey that he's been on, this is a guy who he kind of found his place in Miami. That's where he's been, where he was the longest. In 2019, he became a regular part of the rotation for them, but that team didn't make the playoffs. He averaged 19 minutes a game and averaged 7 points and 4 boards off the bench. He did start 14 games, but he played in 60. So that season, the Heat didn't make the playoffs. That was Dwayne Wade's farewell season. He started to break out into the rotation as a regular NBA player there. Then the following season is the bubble season where he didn't play in 13 games, but he started in 16 and played in 59 out of 72 games. And that's when I remember, although in the playoffs, he played 15 games, but he played such spot minutes, just 6.5 minutes per game. So it wasn't really a huge role for him. Mind you, this is when he's 22 years old. And he's playing for the Miami Heat. He's playing for a regular season team that ended up getting the 5 seed and, ended up making it to the finals in the bubble. Not saying he had a huge role in that, but he was on that team. He was on a team that made the championship twice in the NBA. And I will say this about that 2020 team. That's when I first started noticing Derrick Jones as okay. By the way, he was undrafted. So this is a guy who's really made a great career out of himself for an undrafted player. But I remember being impressed with him in 2020. I was like, oh, okay, so Derrick Jones is turning into a solid player. He's got his athleticism. He shoots well from the field because he gets easy baskets, and he can guard a bit. That 2020 season, he averaged 8.5 points and 4 rebounds. But then he got a move to Portland, and he was actually a regular starter there for the first time in his career. Played 58 games out of 72 in the 2021 season. Started 43 games and averaged 7 points and 3.5 rebounds. So very similar stats to 2020. But at that point, you're probably thinking he's not a starter in the NBA. He's a bench player. The next 2 years, 2021-22 and 22-23, he spends with the Chicago Bulls. And with the Chicago Bulls, he was a bench player. Played 51 games in 2022. That was a very solid Bulls team. And then in 2023, played 64 games for a team that lost in the second play-in game to the Miami Heat. He averaged 5 points and 2 rebounds that year on 50% shooting and 34% from 3. Now, at this point, the first 7 years of Derrick Jones Jr.'s career, you'd think, okay, he's a bench player in the NBA. He's athletic. He can be in the dunker spot and get lobs, but he's not really a good spacer. At that point, these are 3-point percentages. 27% his rookie year. Oh, man. 17% his sophomore year. 31% his third year. 28 his fourth. 32 his fifth. 33 his sixth. And then he shot a career-high 34 in 2023. But now we get to last season, and this is by far Derrick Jones Jr.'s real coming out party, is showing everybody that he's not just an NBA player and not just a starter, a good NBA player, a solid role player. And you got to give credit to Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. They obviously make him look good. They give him open shots more than he's ever gotten. But what really was amazing about Derrick Jones this year is that he earned that starting role. 66 games started out of 82, 76 games played out of 82. So the first thing that sticks out there is the last 2 seasons, he's missed 18 games and 6 games. That is absolutely something we need. We need somebody that's available. 76 games, you love to hear that. The thing about Derrick, and now I can just call him Derrick, is that this past season, he solidified his place in that starting lineup for what ended up being a finals team. So yeah, P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford came and added to that defensive prowess, but he was really one of the only good defenders on the team before that trade. He's got the length, he's got the size, he's solid laterally. The main thing is he has the bounce, obviously, but he does not come off as 6'5". He's got those long arms. that make him look like he's 6'7", and his foot speed is pretty good. Now, granted, is he a lockdown defender? Is he a guy that's, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league? No, I'm not going to say that. But he was literally the best perimeter defender, arguably. Either him or PJ Washington. He would take the guards for a team that made it to the finals. So that's better than anything we have. But coming up, I'm going to be talking let me say his numbers for the season last year. 9 points, which is career high, on 48% from the field, and a career high 34.3% from three. So it's still not very good from three. You compare it to guys like Amir Coffey, Terrence Mann, Norman Powell, Kawhi, and even last year, Paul George, and even Nicholas Batum, who we'll talk about in a future episode this week. It's not great. But what he does give you is stuff that other guys didn't. Athleticism, a lob threat, a transition threat, a point of attack defender. And coming up, we're going to talk even more about the holes that he fills. I got to tell you a little something about Game Time. Game Time is the best place to get great deals on last-minute tickets all the way up to the start of the event. All you got to do is go to Game Time. But here's the thing. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. Save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats with zone deals. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, back talking about the newest Clipper, Derrick Jones Jr., who at last year averaged 9 points a game to go along with 3 rebounds. So let me just say this. The 3 rebounds thing, you would like to see that number go up this season. Now, granted, that lets you know that he is not the answer to our 4 problems. And I don't mean 4 separate problems. I mean our power forward problems. We don't have that guy. We want to ideally move Kawhi Leonard back to the 3 to just have more size out there and make him have less low man responsibilities around the basket. So that would mean that one of either Terrence or Derrick Jones would have to go to the bench. And to be honest, I'm starting to lean towards Terrence going to the bench and playing with a more fast-paced second unit that's going to be led by Bones Highland, in my opinion, most likely, I would hope. Because it's about time we give that dude a chance. And we're going to talk about Chris Dunn in a few days as well, about how he could potentially help. But Bones, it's very clear that Terrence can play in a half-court based system, but he prefers to get out and run. And I don't think personally, as good as James Harden is, and as good as he is at creating shots, I don't think Terrence Mann is like the perfect role player for Harden to play with. I think Mann was a lot better built to play with someone like Westbrook or somebody like Bones Highland to get out and run. I just think that his three-point shooting is still what is a little wishy-washy, even though, he found his form shooting the ball in the second half of the season last year. I think Terrence, having so many just stand still, catch and shoot threes, he oddly gets in his own head, and then sometimes he passes them up. I think he'd be better coming off the bench, but I'm not opposed to seeing him start if that's what it comes down to. I just think that Derrick Jones at this point after this past season has proven more as a role player in the league. He doesn't have a one signature game like Terrence Mann does in the playoffs, but he was a starter on a finals team. And whether you want to say he was the worst starter of the 5, I would say Gafford was, because Gafford legitimately, not to say Gafford was bad at all, but he got outplayed by Derek Lively. Derrick Jones Jr. guarded Paul George, he guarded SGA, he guarded Anthony Edwards, and he guarded Jason Tatum. He guarded the best player in every series, and he won 3 of them. He was, if you don't like the wording of that, he was on the team that won 3 of them, and he was a huge part of it. Now, we can just look at each individually. I did not ignore the finals. He didn't have a good finals. So There are some questions about, is Derrick Jones Jr. a starter on a championship team, because he didn't play well in the championship. He had, like 6 points a game in the finals. Let me look up the stats right now. 6 points a game in the finals, which is 7 points technically, which is 1 point lower than his average. 3 rebounds on 43% shooting and 25 from 3. 3 for 12 from 3. So those are all the threes he got. And it's crazy because they had 5 games played, but he only got 12 threes off, which is only 1 more than Josh Green, who came off the bench and played a total of 19 less full minutes, which tells you that the Celtics, I mean, if you wanted to go listen to my Celtics Mavs breakdown, you can go to my personal channel, but they didn't concede a lot of open threes. They made Luka and Kyrie play one-on-one a lot, and because their point of attack defense was so good, they didn't even have to overhelp. But the thing about Derrick Jones is he just didn't play well in the finals. The pressure was on. He got some looks, didn't make them. And defensively, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, if I'm just being candid, they got whatever they wanted for the most part. So do I think Derrick Jones Jr. is a starter on a championship team? I don't know. I still have some doubts about that. Can he help the Clippers and be a starter on the Clippers next year? Absolutely. Can he be the best point of attack defender on a championship team? Now that's the question, right? Because I said all season long, and I'm the biggest Terrence Mann fan around, that I don't think Terrence Mann can be the best point of attack defender on a championship team. I think he has to be one of your guys. Kawhi Leonard used to be the guy that was the best point of attack defender on his team, but now he's not asked to do those things and shouldn't be doing those things because of the wear and tear of a superstar and his offensive responsibility. Derrick Jones Jr. is closer to being the best point of attack defender on a championship team than Terrence Mann, but just judging by the finals, I just don't know if he is. I just don't know if he can be, but I'll tell you what, he gets us closer to that. And I'm not totally saying he can't be. I know for a fact that Terrence Mann can't be the best point of attack defender on a championship team. And I'm not just using the fact that he hasn't won a ring yet as evidence. That's just my eye test and seeing, like, we can do this exercise if you want. Let's go back and look at who the best perimeter point of attack just essentially means perimeter to me. I don't know why. If you think I'm getting too technical with some of these terms, please say that in the comments. I'll simplify it all day long. You know, I'm not going to sit up there like JJ Redick in the broadcast. I remember some people were saying, like, he's talking about hammer screens and double drags and stuff like that. It's like, where's Mark Jackson just with can I have this dance? Oh, by the way, how weird is it that former Clipper JJ Redick is now the coach across the hall? Oh, there's none across the hall anymore, actually. You know, across the freeway, down the freeway. So, over in downtown. So, yeah, I don't know. That's weird. I hope they do horrible. But anyway, the point is, point of attack just means perimeter. Like, you know, guarding, screen navigation, all that stuff, right? Getting over screens. Derrick Jones is pretty damn good getting over screens, so that's awesome. Much better than Terrence Mann in that regard. And I'll tell you what I love about Derrick Jones that stood out to me having watched every single one of the Mavs playoff games. His ability to rotate and make up ground and seemingly go from the corner all the way to the basket in a split second is amazing. It's something we just didn't have outside of like Kawhi. He's so long, he can jump so far and so high, and he just makes up that ground quickly. And I think the Dallas Mavericks had the best help defense of any team in the playoffs, and it's largely because of Derrick Jones' ability to help and recover. Like, Terrence Mann, Derrick Jones, and Kawhi all on the court together is going to be, and Nico, one of that like combination. Like, now we're getting back to potentially going small again, which is what Ty Lue's always wanted to do. So, like, a lineup of, like, Harden, Norm, Kawhi, Derrick, and Nico. Oh, we're cooking with a little gas. Just need Kawhi healthy. Just cooking a little gas. Just saying. This team might not be as bad as people think. And Derrick Jones' ability is going to be able to scramble on defense is going to be amazing. I cannot wait to talk about. Hell, man, did you guys see Derrick Jones Jr.'s closeouts tonight? Oh, it's going to be great. Isn't it nice to have me so excited about a signing again? Like, it just feels like since I've been a host, there's just been a lot of stuff I'm not happy about. But I'm ecstatic about. And $10 million each year for 3 years, I mean, that's a good deal. That's a good deal to me. The question mark is the three-point shooting, obviously. That's the big question mark. But that's not an area that we really lacked. You know, last year it wasn't as good. It wasn't, but we were still one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league. We need more point of attack defenders and athleticism, and that's exactly what Derrick Jones brings to the table. Oh yeah, before I end the segment, the exercise, right? I mean, look at the point of attack defenders that have won titles and how the level that they are at defensively. This season, Drew Holiday and Derek White. It doesn't get much better. Last season, KCP and Aaron Gordon, and Bruce Brown and Christian Brown. I mean, that's a quartet of guys that can guard. But KCP and Aaron Gordon are like as good as it gets. This previous 2022 season, it was mainly Andrew Wiggins, but Andrew Wiggins totally clamped up Tatum in the finals. Like Andrew Wiggins did a great job on Luka too. So, like Derrick Jones and Terrence are not Andrew Wiggins in 2022. 2021, I mean, take your pick. Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton was still good defensively, and then Giannis. But it was mainly Drew Holiday. And then 2020, Lakers had a plethora of guys. Caruso, KCP. They had Avery Bradley in the regular season, but then in the playoffs, I mean, they have LeBron and Anthony Davis too. And that was when LeBron was fully engaged, rotating hard. Like, Harden and Westbrook fans will remember, LeBron against Houston defensively was a demon on the low block. So, I mean, I'm just going to keep going. Why not? Because I'm not finding anybody that's Derrick Jones or Terrence level. Everybody's better. 2019, Raptors. Kawhi, Danny Green. Who am I forgetting? Pascal. Even Lowry's a good defender. So, like, you just have a bunch of guys. Fred VanVleet can guard. So, they didn't necessarily have a one guy. But, like, when Kawhi needed to guard Giannis, he did that. See, how come the length that team had? We don't have that. 2018, Warriors is Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala. Like, you go to the Warriors teams, they have Andre Iguodala. They have Draymond Green on the back line. They have Kevin Durant. Klay Thompson, before he got hurt, was a good defender. So, you literally, I mean, I don't even know how far I have to go back. I think the best example is going back to the 2016 Cavs, if we're being real. Because they didn't really have a crazy point of attack guy. They had, was Kyrie Irving really guarding Steph Curry looking back? Like, wow. Like, how did that not get exposed more? I got to go back and watch that series. But, like, since 2016, so essentially the last 7 years where the NBA has really changed, though. Because the thing about 2016 and prior is you kind of guarded your position. It was positional basketball. Now it's a little bit more all over the place. So you need elite point of attack guys. And we've improved in that category with Derrick Jones. I just don't know if he's that guy, but we shouldn't be talking about title until we see Kawhi healthy for a series. I'm sorry. It's just about being as good as last year potentially, and Derrick Jones gets us closer to that. But coming up, let's talk about the draft. I haven't talked about that. The Clippers made one selection and then picked up someone else. Going to talk about both of the players, Cam Christie and Trenton Flowers, coming up. All right, so to finish off the show, let's talk about the draft picks, or the draft pick that we made. And the Clippers took someone that isn't too foreign for Angelinos, and that is because he is the younger brother of Laker Max Christie, Cam Christie. He looks exactly like Max. He's only 18 years old. He turns 19 in 20 days. If you're listening to this on the 4th of July, in 20 days, he's going to turn 19. He's 6'5", got solid length, just like his brother. And he was picked 46th by us out of Minnesota. Now, here's the thing about Cam Christie, right? He's a one and done. So, clearly, the potential was seen, and he got drafted after 1 year of college. Here's the thing. I can't lie and sit here and say that I watched the Minnesota Gophers play basketball that much last season. But I'll tell you this. One of the guys that I did PA announcing, I don't get to PA announce men's basketball games at Pepperdine, but Mike Mitchell Jr., one of the starting point guard for Pepperdine in 2023, who I got to see play a lot, transferred to Minnesota and played with Cam Christie. And they made it to the NIT. So they weren't bad at all. And he was an all Big Ten freshman. So he had a solid season. He was second on the team in points. He averaged 11 a game. And he hit 73s. Let me just pull up his stats for the season. So Man, it's showing me game by game stuff. Oh, here we go. 40% from the field. And from three, he shot 39%. And the majority of his shots were threes. So that's a really solid percentage, 39% from three. Hopefully that translates. Of course, the NBA three-point line is a little bit longer. But from what I saw in the highlights, 3-and-D kind of guy, like his brother. Not really a creator, but it looks like he has a little more bounce. So I'm encouraged by that. 3-and-D kind of guy. Max Christie can defend. We'll see how he does defensively, but I still don't think he's a guy that is going to get minutes playing alongside Kawhi Leonard and James Harden this season. But he's worth a shot. And he'll probably spend a good amount of time in San Diego with our San Diego Clippers. Remember, we are not the Ontario Clippers anymore. We are San Diego now, just like the good old days. Actually, it's not good old days because not LA Clippers. And I'm an LA Clipper fan. If they were in San Diego, I'd have been a Laker fan. So, Cam Christie. I like it. I mean, I like Max Christie. So, hopefully Cam Christie will be good too. Now, the other player we selected, a little bit more of a curious tale, Trenton Flowers. He was going to go to Louisville. Right? And by the way, he's young too. Just 19 years old from Baltimore, Maryland. 6'7" with length. Listed as a wing, shooting guard, small forward. He went to Sierra Canyon, by the way. So he ended up graduating from here. Actually, I don't know. It says he went to somewhere called Combine Academy after. But he was going to go to Louisville. And then he decommitted and then went to play in the NBL, just like LaMelo Ball did, the league in Australia, the National Basketball League, and he played for the Adelaide 36ers. And I saw that he struggled with injuries throughout the season, but at first, he was going to be the starting point guard for the team. But then, and from the highlights I saw, he doesn't look like a point guard at all. He looks like a wing. And according to his Wikipedia, they demoted him to a wing from a point guard. I shouldn't say demoted, but moved him from a point guard to a wing. And, he made his debut off the bench and became a starter yet again when they got a new coach in December. But then he injured his knee in January and was kind of out of their rotation. Then he had a neck strain, so he struggled with some injuries. He only appeared in 18 games, and he averaged 5 points. But when you watch his highlights, and there is like a compilation that I watched, 5 minutes of Trenton Flowers' best plays in that season in the NBL, you hear the commentator saying, "The future star, Trenton Flowers." So, I mean, that's good to hear. He's going to probably spend a lot of time in San Diego as well, but hey, we'll keep an eye on them, right? Again, I don't think those guys are going to play much next season. It'll be interesting to do an episode on if Kobe Brown and Jordan Miller will get run next season, but I still haven't talked about Brandon Boston either. God, we got to talk about that soon, but man, where do I go with the next episode? I'd say Nico Batum, right? We all want to hear about Nico. But anyway, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper and LA sports and NBA content throughout the summer. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm seeing the subscriber count go up. We're almost at 6,000. Please let us continue to get there. Clipper Nation, let's show everybody what kind of fan base we are, how much more of fans we are, how many more fans we have that people think. And let's get us to 6K and keep climbing up that NBA ladder. The age-old proverb continues, go Clippers and have a safe and exciting 4th of July. And you know what's good to wear on the 4th of July? Clipper colors. Because you know what Clipper colors are? The colors of America.